Hi Maker, this is Claire from Eclair Makery, and today I'm going to teach you how to crochet my Sedona Blooms blanket. This blanket is made from different styles of granny squares and a tapestry crochet square, all inspired by the desert. So let's go ahead and get started. To make this blanket, you will need 4 colors of worsted weight yarn. I use Lion Brand Color Theory, and for the flower square, I used the blue, the cream, and the orange. For the cactus, I used the green and the orange, and then when I did the linen squares, I used a mix of all 3 of the colors with the cream. You'll also need a 5mm crochet hook to make this, and then you can get the free pattern that you can follow along with at the link in the description box below that's available on my blog. The first square we're going to start with is the flower square. So we're going to begin with our orange yarn and make a slip knot here, and then we are going to take our yarn and we will chain 4. So 2, 3, and 4. And then we are going to go in the first chain and we are going to do a slip stitch to join this. And by joining this, we are going to create a small ring that we are going to crochet into. Then we are going to chain 2, and then we are going to yarn over, insert our hook into the center, and do a double crochet in the middle. And we are going to continue doing double crochets in the center till you have a total of 11 double crochets, and then that first chain 2 that we did at the beginning of this round counts as one of the stitches. So we'll go ahead and keep doing double crochets in that ring till we get the correct amount. And I like doing the chain 4 tiny ring instead of a magic circle for this, just because I feel like it's just a little bit easier to do instead of dealing with pulling all the strings and with a magic circle. So we've almost got our 11, and then once you have the 11, we will do a slip stitch through the top of that chain 2, and we're going to do it with our white yarn, which we'll use for the next round. So we'll just pull that through to finish that slip stitch, and then tighten your orange yarn, and then we'll begin the next round. So to begin the next round, we are going to chain 3, and then in that same stitch that we did the slip stitch, we are going to do a puff stitch. So we've yarned over like we're doing a double crochet. We're going to yarn over again, pull it through. Then we're going to yarn over again, insert our hook, yarn over, pull it through. We've now got 5 loops on our hook, and we're going to do that one more time. Yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops on our hook. Then you do a chain 1 to secure that puff stitch. Then we're going to go to this next stitch, do another puff stitch. So you want to have a total of 7 loops on your hook from doing all those yarn overs, and then you chain 1. And then you're just going to repeat this all the way around, doing the yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, till you have all of those loops, and then chain 1 to secure that puff stitch, and you will do this in each stitch around this circle to complete this round of the bloom square. Then once you've finished all of those, we are going to chain 1 again, and then insert into the top of that chain 3 and do a slip stitch to join it. Then we're going to chain 3. Then in the space between the chain 3 at the beginning of the round, we are going to do a bobble stitch. So we insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops, And then we repeat doing that till we have a total of 5 loops on our hook, and then we yarn over, pull through all 5 of those, and we'll do a chain 2. Then we skip one of the puff stitches over to the next chain 1 space, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain 1 space, yarn over, pull through, and then you yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, and repeat that till you get 5 loops on your hook to do the bobble stitch. And then once you've done that, then you chain 2 and then skip over and repeat this all around. Once you've gotten to the beginning again, we will join with a slip stitch. Then we are going to chain 3, and then we're going to skip to the top of that bobble stitch we did, and we are going to do another bobble stitch in there. So essentially just repeating the last round, but we are doing it in the tops of the bobble stitches. And then once you do your bobble stitch, you chain 3, then you skip to the top of the next bobble stitch, and then do a bobble stitch in that one, and then you chain 3 again after this. So 1, 2, and 3, and then skip to the bobble, and just repeat that all the way around back to the beginning of this round. Once you've done all of those, this finishes up our petals of our flower. And so we've done that chain 3, and we're going to join at the beginning of the round with a slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch over to the next chain 3 space that we have on our round. Then once you get to the stitch right before, we're going to join that blue yarn that makes up the edges of our square, and then I like to do a slip stitch in the chain 3 space just to secure that. Then we're going to chain 3, and then in that chain 3 space we are going to double crochet 2. And once you've done 2 double crochets, we're going to chain 2, and then right in that same space we are going to double crochet 3, and this makes up the first corner of our square. So we're turning our circle into a square. Then we're going to skip to the next chain 3 space and do 3 half double crochets to continue those straight edges. And then in the top of that bobble stitch right next to this, we are going to do 3 single crochets. Then we're going to go to the next chain 3 space, do 3 half double crochets in there. And after that, we'll go to the next chain 3 space, double crochet 3 in that. And then after we've done the 3rd double crochet, we will chain 2 and then double crochet 3. And then that forms our second corner. So we've got one corner, and then we've got our straight edge here, and then that corner. And then you're going to just repeat what we did all the way around. So doing that straight edge with the 3 half double crochets, then 3 single crochets in the top of the bobble, then 3 half double crochets, and then what we did in the corner space till you get back to the beginning of the round to finish our first round of straight edges. And then at the beginning, you'll do the 3 half double crochets in that last chain 3 space before our first corner. And then we are going to join with a slip stitch in the top of that 3rd chain at the beginning to join the beginning of this round. And then we are going to slip stitch through the tops of these stitches all the way to the corner before we begin our next round of our square. And then in a similar way that we did the last round, we're going to chain 3. And this time, instead of doing 2 half double crochets, we're just doing 1, then chain 2, and then 3 half double crochets, or 2 half double crochets, sorry, in that corner space. Then we are going to double crochet in each of the stitches that we did on that straight edge of our square. And so we'll double crochet through each of these till we get all the way to the next corner space. And then once you get to that next corner space, we're going to double crochet 2 into there. Then we will chain 2 and then double crochet 2 in that in that corner space. Then you're going to repeat doing the double crochets all the way to the corner, then do our little what we've done in each of the corners, and repeat that all the way back to the beginning. And once you've gotten back to the beginning, you're going to double crochet through those 3 slip stitches that you did at the beginning of the round. You might have to wiggle your hook and get it in there to do these stitches. Sometimes mine get a little too tight when I'm crocheting them. Then you're going to join with a slip stitch to finish off that round, and that is the end of making our bloom square. So then you repeat that till you have the right amount of squares. The next square I'm going to show you how to make is the linen stitch square. So in a similar way to the bloom square, we're going to start with a slip knot, and then we are going to chain 4. And then once we've gotten 4 stitches, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning. But unlike this one, we're not doing double crochets. We're going to do 1 chain, and then in that circle, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 single crochet, and then 2 chains. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 single crochet, 2 chains, 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 single crochet, and 2 chains. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 single crochet, 2 chains, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch in that chain 1 at the beginning of the round, and this completes our first round of the square. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn, and in that chain 2 space we just made, we're going to single crochet 1, then chain 2, then single crochet 1, chain 1, and then in that chain 1 space that we did, it's a little bit hard to see, but just put your hook in there and then do a single crochet, chain 1, skip to the next chain 2 space, which is the next corner, then single crochet 1, chain 2, and then single crochet 1, and then chain 1, and repeat that around. Once you do that final single crochet, then we're going to join with a slip stitch to that chain 1 at the beginning of the round, and then we are going to add in our next color. So I like to take my orange and then I do it, pull it through to do the first chain stitch of that round, and then we're going to turn our work, keeping all of our ends on the other side, and in that first chain 1 space, we're going to single crochet 1, then chain 1, then single crochet 1 in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip to the corner space, then single crochet 1, chain 2, and single crochet 1. Then you're going to repeat all the way around where you single crochet one in all of the chain one spaces, then chain one, and then you'll repeat that all the way to the end. In the last corner space, we will single crochet one, then chain two, then single crochet one again, then chain one, and then we will do a slip stitch through that chain at the beginning, and then we are going to switch back to our first color, which is this ivory yarn, and then we will turn our work, and then in that first chain space we'll single crochet one, chain one, and in the corner you'll do a single crochet one, then chain two, and then single crochet one, and then you will chain one stitch and then single crochet one, chain one in each of those chain one spaces, and then single crochet one, chain two, single crochet one in each of the corner spaces, and you'll repeat that all the way around back to the beginning of this round. Back at the beginning of the round, you'll chain one and then join with a slip stitch to that chain one we did at the beginning, and then we are going to switch colors again. So I've turned my work, and then I'm going to use my orange for that first chain, and then you'll start the next round doing a single crochet one and just repeating the process that we did in the last round all the way around. So you'll always do single crochet one, then chain one, single crochet one, chain one, all the way to the corner space. And in each one of the corners, you will do a single crochet one, chain two, and then a single crochet, and repeat that till you get all of the rounds. Final square that I am going to show you is the cactus square. So this one is not done in the round like the two granny square types. This one is done just worked flat. So we are going to begin by chaining 20 through 3 chain stitches, and this is going to be the whole width of our square. So once we finish up getting all those chains, just a couple more left, then we are going to go to the third chain from the hook, and we are going to half double crochet in that chain. Then we are going to half double crochet in each one of the chains all the way to the end of this row before we can begin the next. So now that we've got that first row of half double crochets, we're going to chain two, then we will turn our work, and then we are going to half double crochet all the way across this row till you reach the end, and we begin the color work on the next row. This next row is the first color work row, and you begin by chaining two, and then you'll see on the color work chart we are going to begin with 8 half double crochets in our background color, which is this orange color. And once we get to the last half double crochet before switching colors, instead of finishing off this last half double crochet with our orange, we're going to take our green yarn, and on that last yarn over of that stitch, we're going to use the green yarn to finish off that stitch, and then that helps us join that color and switch to it. Then we are going to do 5 half double crochets in the green, and I like to carry my background color across the back of the work. So you just hold it up to the back of the stitch, insert your hook through the stitch and below the yarn that you're carrying, and then do your stitches as normal. And I do this about every 2 stitches that I drape my yarn across the back, and then that just helps secure it so that there aren't big giant loops on the back. So just like we did before, on that last stitch, we are going to switch on that last yarn over, and then half double crochet across in that background color before we begin our next row of the color work. So once we get to the end, then our next row will be chaining 2 and turning, and this is the wrong side of our work. And you'll see on this one again, it is 8 half double crochets in the background color before we switch to the green. And since we are working on the wrong side of our work, once we get to this last one, all of the yarn is going to be on the side facing us, and we want to make sure it stays on this side. So then you switch colors the same way, it's just that strand is going to be facing you. Then you do the 5 half double crochets in green, and then you hold the yarn to carry it in front of the stitch, go under and through the loop, and then just crochet around it, and then finish up those stitches in the green, and just carry the yarn if you'd like to every 2 stitches. That way it doesn't show through each stitch. So then you'll switch back to your background after those 5, and this is just how you do the color work, switching colors, following those rows of color work, and this is how it will look from the front. So go ahead and finish up all the rows of this square. Once you have finished all your squares, you're going to lay them out in the arrangement you'd like. This is how I did it for the 5 squares by 6 square layout. And then we are going to do a slip stitch join to join all these squares. So we start with doing a slip knot, and I just like to do this to help secure the yarn a little bit extra. Then you're going to insert your hook in one of the back loops of the stitches on the square, and you're going to pull that slip knot up through that loop, go to the back loop of the next stitch and insert your hook. So these are on the chain 2s of the corners of my bloom square. Then you're going to go to the corner of the square that goes right next to this one and insert your hook through the back loops, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of the loops that you have on your hook. And this begins the first slip stitch. Then you go back to your first square, go through the back loops, then yarn over, pull through both of those. And then this is how you do it all the way down. So starting with the back loop on the first square, then back loop on the second square, and do these stitches, making this cool slip stitch join all the way down to the end of this side of both of your squares to secure them. After you finish that first seam, then we are going to join the next 2 squares, and you're going to just insert your hook into the corner of the square that goes below the first one that we had, and then you will insert your hook through the corner of the other square, and then you will do the slip stitch where you yarn over and then pull through all 3 of those loops, and then this joins all 4 of them together, so that then you can do the process we did before with going through a loop on each of the squares on both sides and then doing your slip stitch. And then you repeat this process of doing that joining the next 2 squares and then seaming all the way down to get all the squares in this first row to create that cool seam. After you have seamed all of your squares vertically on this seam going up and down, then we are going to start doing it horizontally. So this one that goes from side to side. So it begins the same way that we did when we began that first row of the seam. where we insert our slip knot up through the corner, then over to the next loop on that same corner, and then we will go through the corner of the opposite square, and then this one gets a little tricky with how you hold the yarn, but I will pull it up through the in-between space of those two squares until it gets a little too tricky. And then, so you'll just do that slip stitch and then do that whole process of one loop on one side, one loop on the other, then pull through all 3 loops till you get to the intersection of the seams. Once you do that last slip stitch right before where all of these squares are going to intersect across the seam from going vertically, then at that intersection point, we are going to chain 1 to go across that seam, and then insert our hook into the corners of the next 2 squares on the other side of that seam. And then this helps create, this will just give it a clean look across all those seams. And then you just keep repeating all the way down with the slip stitches till the end of the row. So after you have finished doing all of the joining of the squares, we are going to work on the border of the blanket, which goes all the way around the edges of our squares. So I'm going to insert my hook through one of the single crochets right next to that corner, and then I'm going to join my green yarn right here. And then the next step is to chain 3, and in the corner space of the square, we are going to work 2 double crochets. And then after those 2 double crochets, we're going to do a chain 2, and this forms our first corner. And all the other corners, you will do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. But since that chain 3 at the beginning counts as a stitch, that's what we're going to do. Then we are going to double crochet through each one of these stitches all the way across the edges of the blanket. So on the edges of the blanket, you just do double crochets all the way across, and in the corners, you do the double crochet 3, chain 2, double crochet 3, all the way back to the beginning of the round where we joined the yarn. Once you get back to the beginning of your round, then we are going to join with a slip stitch in that 3rd chain at the beginning, and I'm going to take my second color for the border, which is my white yarn, and I'm going to finish that slip stitch with the white yarn so that I can change colors for the next row. So then what we're going to do is we start this next round off by chaining 3. Then we're going to skip the first half double crochet, and then we are going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. And then this creates a little gap. So those first 2 chains count as a half double crochet, and then that 3rd one counts as a chain 1. So then we're going to chain 1, and then in the corner we are going to do 2 half double crochets, then chain 2, and then 2 half double crochets. Then you will chain 1, and then half double crochet in the next double crochet, and that forms that first corner of this next round. Then we'll chain 1, you skip 1 stitch, then half double crochet in the next stitch, and that's what we will repeat all the way across the edges of the blanket. Is skip 1, half double crochet 1, then chain 1, and then repeat all the way to the corner, and then each corner is 2 half double crochets, chain 2, 2 half double crochets till we get to the beginning. At the beginning of the round, you'll have gone all the way doing that lacy pattern. You'll chain 1 and then join with a slip stitch at the beginning, and then you'll switch to your third color, which I'm using my orange, and you'll finish off that slip stitch with that third color. And then we are going to chain 6, and then you will go to the second chain from the hook and do a mini puff stitch, which does just 5 loops instead of the 7 that we did in the bloom square. And then in the next chain, you'll do a slip stitch, and then that creates a little pom-pom. So then we will chain 3, and you can turn your work. We're going to skip the next lace space over to the one after that, and then slip stitch, and this forms the little pom-pom fringe. So then you will chain 6, and then in that second chain from the hook, we are going to do the puff stitch, the mini puff stitch with the 5 loops, just like this, and then a slip stitch in the next stitch. Then you will chain 3, skip the next lace space, go to the next one, and slip stitch. And you just repeat that all the way around your blanket to create the super cute fringe. Once you get to the beginning of this round, you are going to slip stitch through where we joined the orange yarn, and then that finishes off this round and gives you the super cute fringe. And then we'll fasten this off, trim our yarn, then we will fasten off by pulling the yarn through that loop. And after you fasten that off, you can tie off any of the ends and weave them in order to finish up your blanket. And that is how you finish off the Sedona Blooms blanket. This cute fringe and this super cute border really adds a great finishing touch. Well, I hope that you love your brand new blanket and that this video tutorial was helpful. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more video tutorials, and I will see you next time. Bye!